In today's video, I'm introducing you to 3 fun and unique members of the ficus family that I think you need to know about. Welcome to my channel. I'm Cece with One Green Pea. I talk a lot on my channel about my love for common, familiar, easy houseplants. They make up the bulk of my collection. But sometimes there are plants that are just so special that they deserve the extra attention that they demand. Today, I'm going to introduce you to 3 of them. The ficus family has some very familiar members. The Fiddle Leaf Fig, the rubber tree, the Benjamina. Those plants are wildly popular for a reason. They're statement plants, they're beautiful, and for the most part, not too difficult to take care of. The ficus genus has over 850 species. They range from trees to shrubs to epiphytes even. And there are some that are not as common, but I think need a little bit more exposure. I have 3 of these plants in my collection, and those are the ones I'm going to talk about today. The Ficus triangularis, the Ficus audrey, and the Ficus umbellata. I've had each of these plants for minimum of 6 months, and I've had my ups and downs, but I feel like I've really dialed in the care needs of each one of them, and that's what I'm going to share today, along with tips that I've learned along the way. Because I value your time, I have time-stamped my video. So if one of these plants is really interesting to you, you can jump right to that plant. Let's dive in. The first plant I want to talk to you about today is the Ficus umbellata, or the umbrella tree plant. This plant is native to South Africa, and it's a really common houseplant in Japan. It has giant, glossy, heart-shaped leaves, and under the right conditions, it can grow up to 4 feet tall. Now, this plant and I have had our issues, let's just say. This is the absolute healthiest that this plant has ever been, and I've had this for about 1.5 years. I wasn't planning on purchasing this plant when I went into a plant store, but I have to admit I kind of got talked into it. The plant shop owner referred to this as the next it plant. This plant was going to supersede the Fiddle Leaf Fig. It was going to be so popular, so of course I wanted to jump on the bandwagon. Well, it never really got a lot of traction. I love this plant. I think it is really beautiful and really unique, and I love the way that it grows in sort of an umbrella shape. As far as care needs go, this plant appreciates bright indirect light. It does not want too much light, and especially doesn't want direct light. These leaves are really thin. They're just paper thin and soft. When I read about this plant, a lot of what I found said that it actually wants to dry out between waterings. That was my undoing with this plant. It does not want to dry out between waterings. If that happens, then it just starts losing leaves. And when it starts losing leaves, I mean, the plant becomes nothing more than a stick. It's rather unsightly. So now I let the top surface, maybe the top 1 to 2 inches dry out, and then I'm watering this. So it's on a pretty strict watering schedule. I also have this plant in my general well-draining soil mix, so nothing special there. It would appreciate more humidity than I provide for it. It is adapted fine to my 35 to 40% household room environment. What it does not want is drafts from a cold window, and it doesn't want to be hit directly by a heating vent. Some of the problems I've had with this plant include dropping of leaves, which has happened multiple times. I guess I'm a slow learner, but I feel like if I wait 1 day past its ideal watering time, then it'll just start dropping leaves. Another problem that I had with this plant is spider mites. I think spider mites are pretty easy to treat. If I see the telltale webbing, and usually that happens here at the leaf margin, then I simply spray the plant down to remove the webbing and any of the mite. And then I spray it with the neem oil, and that generally tends to work. At one point though, this plant had lost so many leaves that I got really frustrated, and as a last-ditch effort, I chopped the plant all the way down. So it was merely a stick. I will dig up a picture and put it on the screen here. Shockingly, the plant bounced back. It was like it wanted to be pruned back. And since then, all of this growth is new, and it's constantly pushing out new leaves. And you can see right there, see if I can get that on the camera right there, that is a new leaf to be. Now I am constantly popping those off when they come on this uppermost stem because I want to encourage more branching down below. And that has worked quite well. So super healthy plant, really interesting look. I like this one a lot. The next plant I want to talk about is the Ficus audrey, or Ficus bengalensis. It's commonly known as the banyan tree, and it is the national tree of India. Now, indoors, this plant can grow 5 to 10 feet tall, so it can easily reach the height of its cousin, the Fiddle Leaf Fig. It has a bit of a different growth pattern, and the leaves are longer and skinnier. Now, this plant is known to be finicky, so I would say when you figure out its care needs, when you know that it is healthy and happy, stick to that schedule. Try not to change much, try not to move it around. When it is happy, let it be. The care needs of the Ficus audrey are very similar to the Ficus umbellata that I just spoke about. It likes bright, indirect light. It doesn't want to dry all the way out, so let the top 1 to 2 inches dry out of the soil and then water again. It has adapted in my home again to ambient humidity, and I have it in my just general well-draining soil mix. Now this plant does respond really well to pruning. Mine has not gotten to the point yet where I want to start pruning it. But when it does, then I will simply prune off just above a leaf node, and that will encourage branching down below. So the plant will get wider rather than just taller. Another tip for this plant is that it does not mind being root bound. Don't be in a rush to repot this plant. Unless you really notice problems, roots growing out the bottom, or it just stops growing in a manner that it previously was, then leave it alone. Let it stay in a smallish pot. Again, this is a plant I definitely think that you should consider adding to your collection. The final ficus I want to introduce you to today is the Ficus triangularis. This little cutie has triangular or heart-shaped leaves. This is the variegata form, and so it has a cream border to the outer edges of the leaves. It's not very common, although I'm seeing it more and more in plant shops. It's a little more difficult to come by. Now this, as you can see with a lot of bare stems, this is the bouncing back phase of this plant. So as I have said with the other two plants, this plant does not want to dry out in between waterings. I am really careful, especially because this is in a smaller pot. So I only let about the top surface of the soil dry before I am back watering it again. In fact, I have moved this plant into a self-watering pot. I did a whole video on this on my Instagram, and and I will post it as a short so that you can see how this works. It's really a very cool design. I am still top watering this pot until the roots start coming out the bottom, and then all I have to do is put water in the basin and it takes up the water that it needs. So I never have to worry about it getting too dried out and dropping all of its leaves. So yes, I was quite devastated when I saw all the leaves dropping, when I noticed that it had dried out too much. But new leaves started coming almost immediately, and there's still little tiny leaf buds all over. So I'm feeling good about this plant now. This plant is in my typical well-draining soil. It has also adapted to ambient humidity, so it's doing fine, 30 to 40%. No need for a specialty cabinet, although I'm sure it would love one. And bright indirect light is best for this little sweetheart, especially the variegated form. You want to be sure that it's getting enough light. The more light colors or non-green on your leaf surface means it needs more light. It's going to struggle a little bit more with photosynthesis. So I've even got almost a pure white leaf. Now, those are beautiful, but as I've spoken about before in other videos, if it doesn't have any green, it's not going to last very long. So that one is very likely to drop off at some point, which is fine. It's part of the life cycle of a plant. Thank you for watching my video today. I hope that it has inspired you to look beyond the superstars of the ficus genus and explore a little deeper so you can see some of the hidden gems. If you have any questions about these plants, leave them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video or it was helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you never miss any of my planty content. Until next time, my planty friends, let's keep growing together a greener world.